Hi there, my name is Cameron Meyer, and my project is Unreal Enhancements, Improvements in the Unreal Engine 4 User Interface. Now a little bit of background knowledge before I begin. My project will be dealing with both user interfaces and particle effects. Now a user interface is pretty much anything that a user will interact with within a given application, including menus and buttons, text boxes, and even things like curve editors. And a particle effect is a simulation of physical phenomena by applying variables to a large number of 2D images. And by using particle effects, you can simulate things like explosions or sparks. Now the problem that I hope to address is the fact that in a professional environment, a poor user interface can cost development teams time and money by lowering the efficiency of their workflow. Additionally, with new users trying to learn a piece of software, a poor user interface can make the learning curve unnecessarily steep. Now, I believe these are both problems regarding Unreal Engine 4, which is an application. And within Unreal Engine 4, there is a particle effect editor called Cascade. And I created an online survey regarding Cascade that 17 people responded to. And my respondents, I had a large number of professionals and hobbyists alike. So it's clear that the user interface within Cascade should be tailored to suit both of these groups. Within my survey, I also collected data on how satisfied my respondents were with Cascade's user interface. And about half of them rated it a 4 out of 5, but there's definitely some room for improvement because no one rated it a perfect 5 out of 5. Now my project is to create a plugin within Unreal Engine 4. And a plugin is basically a small piece of software that, once it's downloaded and installed, will expand the functionality of a given application. Now, my plugin will expand the functionality of the Cascade particle editor within Unreal Engine. Now, going back to my survey that I took over Cascade, I gathered some data specifically about what some people think could be improved about the Cascade particle editor. And some of that included the default particle. As you can see, the default material applied to each particle looks somewhat strange, but it actually causes some complications with altering some variables, including color over time. You actually can't alter that without altering the material first. Additionally, here's the default emitters panel. This emitter emits a certain type of particle with all these variables applied to it. Here are all the modules, which contain some related variables, and so there was some confusion expressed by my respondents regarding how to create new emitters and modules and kind of messing around with them. So if you were to open up a module in the details panel and see all the related variables, you would actually have to open up a large number of sub-menus and click an unnecessary amount of times before you could actually change any variables you really want to mess with. So these are just a handful of the problems that are clear and need to be fixed within Cascade. So the target audience I am appealing to is both new users and veteran developers alike. New users can hopefully become quickly acquainted with the software, and veteran developers are going to find that they have a more efficient workflow with my plugin. Some advantages of this project are that plugins are very easy to download and install, and the users of the plugins don't have to alter any engine code themselves. Instead, anyone who wants to use the plugin will just go into the Unreal Engine 4 marketplace, search up my plugin, and then click this little install to engine button. Now there are some limitations with this project. When I'm coding this plugin, some of the engine code is actually unalterable, and it will limit me to only adding new functionality rather than changing some existing feature in the engine. Also, plugins won't be as widely adopted as a new engine version because plugins are only adopted by those who browse the marketplace, whereas engine versions are pretty much adopted by anyone who wants to stay up to date on their software. Now, on a related note, plugins actually have to be updated with each new engine version to ensure that they're both compatible with each other. As for materials and costs of the project, I don't need any new materials, and there's no costs associated with making a plugin. The software that I plan on using for this project is Unreal Engine 4 and Microsoft Visual Studio 2017, and both of these applications are free for all to use, and my computer is capable of running both of these programs. Now, increasing amounts of games are being developed with Unreal Engine 4, both by independent developers and well-known developers alike. And so, in a professional environment, it's very important that development time can be as low as possible, which will save money. And if this can be accomplished in a plugin, then that's going to be very important for making Unreal Engine more competitive in the industry. Something else that will make Unreal Engine 4 more competitive is the ability to draw in new users, which will be done by making the interface easier to use, which will make more people want to try learning it. As for the project timeline, this will span about 8 weeks, and there's currently plans to change things like hover text, which is the little tooltip that appears whenever you hover your mouse over a button, and it explains what the button will do before you click on it, just to kind of clear that up to people. I also want to make changes to the default particle, the details panel, and curve editor to kind of eliminate some confusion and some of the clutter. I also want to ensure that my plugin will work across multiple different computers with different hardware inside, and throughout the process I'm going to be gathering feedback from absolute beginners to ensure that the changes I'm making make it easier for beginners to learn the software. And I'll be asking friends and family how they feel about my plugin. And then by April 1st, I hope to upload my plugin to the Unreal Engine 4 marketplace for anybody to download and use. So that's the gist of my project, and I really hope to help out any new users and veteran developers alike with this plugin. Thank you very much for watching.